evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Sid. Welcome to the hottest show on earth, which is the Umzansi Esports League. This is season 4, brought to you by Nordwin Gaming, and I am here with two amazing gentlemen, Ackfire and Patchy, and we are going to be giving you all the action that is the PUBG Mobile Tournament. We saw some amazing action yesterday with some teams shaking the table, the likes of Aatrox coming through and just showing that, listen, it isn't sure for anybody. But then we had some of the familiar faces like G3 Temper come back and show exactly what this tournament is about. Let's take a look at the schedule, which you should know by now. But one more time, let's take a look at the schedule.
We go through the schedule every time, but if you don't know by now, it's of course Erangel, it's Sanhok, it's Miramar. It's the 3 games per week, every week, again and again for this round at least. Of course, sometimes it does change up, or it always changes up as the rounds progress. But for now, we're still in round 1, and we're still doing our traditional rotation. We started with our bread and butter Erangel map, move on to that CQC action on Sanhok, and then we end off with the long range Miramar. So yeah, these teams are definitely taken through the rings, put through the test on all fronts, and of course they should be, because they're fighting for that sweet prize pool, $17,500, split between, of course, PUBG Mobile and FIFA 22. The PUBG Mobile segment, of course, taking away 15,000 of those spicy dollars. So yeah, there's a lot to fight for.
Yes, there is a lot to fight for. $17,500. Sounds like a motivation to me, if you get what I'm trying to say. And I am literally hoping that all the teams today are definitely on a protein diet, and our main source of protein today being chicken. And we want everybody to get a lot of winner chicken dinners, because $15,000 for PUBG Mobile and $2,500 for FIFA is no joke. You get me? So, ladies and gentlemen, people better be bringing their A game today. Otherwise, they are going to lose out. Now, let us also find out the leaderboard and what is happening over there. As we can see, G3 Temper, Villa Insider both from South Africa, with Slime 4KT from Nigeria wrapping up the top 3. We've also got some amazing things like Solo Esports from Senegal and Seven Sins Art of Killing from Angola holding it down in the top 8 as well. What I like to see is some new faces who have just come up from the Nkosi Cup show up and give the guys in the Umzansi Esports League a run for their money. Act5, I'm sure you're familiar with some of these teams who have just come up from the Nkosi Cup. What do you have to say about a few of these guys and what they're doing in the leaderboard so far?
I mean, it was very well expected, especially guys like KHK, who in other tournaments, like we saw in the PMCO, came out on top. Real Insider were very consistent throughout the Nkosi last season. So, it was expected. There's still a couple of teams who struggled in the Nkosi, like Aatrox, who are fighting their way back, and they're just showing that the Nkosi is not easy, and it's a good training for a lot of teams, who are looking to come up all the way to Mzanzi.
And it's nice to see the two teams from Somalia, Team Somalia and the Affinity AF, in 11th and 12th position. We also have Lag Esports, and I believe they are from Mozambique, and BBC from Madagascar, wrapping up our top 16. Now, on to the next page, we can see Young Thundercats from South Africa in that 17 spots. Rainbow Six Madagascar in there as well. The Magicians, Fear from Nigeria in the 24th spot. Now, at this point, this is the bottom point where teams are safe before the cutoff point for the next round. So anybody who's trying to make it to the next round needs to make sure that they are on this page or above it. Otherwise, it's not safe for anybody. You get me? Immortals are in there as well. Black Clover, some of these names we're very familiar with from last season, and we're hoping that they will do a lot more this season. Now, in the final page, which is the scariest page to be on, we see teams like Confi 6, Sincerity Esports, Black Crystal, Ultra 6, and Toxic Esports, who put up some points yesterday and were hoping that would have gotten out of this relegation zone, but they're still in there. Now, today, we're having a matchup between teams from two groups, which is Group A and Group D. and we're going to be taking a look at the teams who are going to be competing today. Pachi, talk us through these teams.
Yeah, well, of course, today we've got A versus D. So having a look at those A squads, it's of course going to be BBC, Team Unique, Black Clover, Team Somalia, KHK, Rainbow Six, and of course Sincerity. We saw some of these teams very recently, so they're still hot on the heels of some success action. Of course, we are looking towards teams like KHK to deal out some damage, and Team Somalia has actually been very much on the up and up in recent times. I'm also keeping an eye out for BBC. We'll see where they land off in these matches today. But of course, we also have a Group D coming into contention there, and those teams are going to be Solo Esport, the Magicians, Sidemen, Natural Killers, the Infinity AF, EXO Redefined, 3G Temper, and Black Crystal. Now, these teams, of course, coming hot off of yesterday's games, and I mean, we've seen G3 Temper. They got a back-to-back chickens in the last two games and yesterday. And then Solo Esport also doing very, very well in recent times. So, I mean, once again, we're jumping into a very, very hot, spicy group. I'm expecting some good stuff today.
Yes, we are expecting good stuff. Now, this is the point structure and explains how these teams are going to be making the points up to get up or down that leaderboard. Now, if you come in first, second, and third positions, you get 15, 12, or 10 points respectively. Fourth, you get 8 points, you get 6 points. In sixth position, you get 4 points. Seventh, you get 2. Eighth to 12th position, you get 1 point. And 13th to 16th, get no points. But obviously, we know, as we've seen from past games, that one of the most important things in the point structure is the kill point. So for every kill, you get 1 point. And we found out that players who go for kills end up getting more points. And this kill point, I personally like to call it protein, aka chicken. So if you are in the field and you're out there now, you need to be looking for protein and getting chicken so that your winner chicken dinner can be very, very voluptuous and very, very full and very, very filling. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know that there are some people who have been doing very, very well in the game. They are called the kill leaders. Tony Akfire, tell us about these kill leaders.
Yeah, definitely. Someone who has been absolutely consistent throughout the season is Zeke, and Fex, from 4KT. These are two players who, have really carried their team. They've pulled their team out through difficult circumstances, and you can see them sitting all the way on top of that leaderboard right there. Also, you have, the two players right there from G3 Tampa, and that just shows why, they're sitting in a comfortable position right all the way on top of that leaderboard right there. So yeah, it's a really close call. You can't really tell between all these players, who's really pulling their weight, but definitely Zeke, as you can see with 32 kills right there, is really doing a lot for his team.
Yes, as we see G3 Tampa, Slime 4KT, all the players are in there. The people that like to eat protein, they are eating a very, very balanced diet when it comes to PUBG Mobile. They are getting lots of chicken in their system to make sure that they get winner chicken dinner. Actually, I have to say, I love your hair. It's looking really, really nice. Tony, I really love your glasses. Since we're doing this, by the time we come back after this, I'm going to be wearing my glasses because I'm feeling left out. And that's not why we are here. We are here for some PUBG Mobile action. The first map we're going to be jumping into is Erangel. Now, Erangel sounds like Erangel, but Erangel is a place where it's sort of a middle kind of map. It's not too small, it's not too big. It just gives you the right amount of space for some hot action. Yesterday, we saw some people coming in right from the get-go. They were giving themselves bass bows, punching it, and letting some people drop in the beginning. But right about now, we are hoping that we get some initial action as we land. Pachi, would you like to see people just land and go straight at each other and hopefully pull some chicken legs off some people's bodies?
Yeah, I would. I think there are some teams that are in this lobby right now that can definitely pull off that kind of thing. I don't necessarily always like to advocate the hot drops. Don't necessarily always have to drop right on top of a team. Sometimes it's quite useful, especially if you want to target a specific team. And I think that's actually a pretty good argument to make for it now, because as we move into the rest of this round, I think we've got our teams in the top half of the leaderboard already solidified. Our G3s, our all the top of the leaderboard leaders at the moment, they're solidified. They're not going to lose this round. They're good to go. So they can actually target drop. They can hot drop. They can find some people and take them out if they want to. They can take risks and do some crazy things. So definitely, I think that now is the time, if you want to pull that kind of stuff off, this is the way to do it. If you want to continue playing it safe, I would still advocate for some early action. Maybe drop next to the team that you want to fight and then go and fight them. Definitely, as we've seen time and time again, those kills always coming in handy, and it creates space. That's the biggest thing. Ultimately, if you're not creating any space, if you're not creating any advantages for yourself, if you're not taking any teams out, if you're not doing anything on the map for the first 20 minutes, then you've wasted 20 minutes of your time and everyone else's time, because then that zone's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you can't do anything in it. You can't make the plays that you could have made with the big space, and it's just chaos.
Yes, and we like chaos, but we like chaos that leads to chicken, because chicken is leading to winner chicken dinner. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Sid, bringing you the hype and bringing you the vibe, and I'm leaving you in the very capable hands of Atfire and Patchy as they're going to talk you through all the action of match one. This is the Umzansi Esports League Season 4. PUBG is about to rock.
Thank you, Dr. Sid. Map number 1, ladies and gentlemen, it is Erangel, our bread and butter map, the one that we know and love so much because it's just so good. And we have our flight path moving there from the south all the way over to George. And it looks like some people are already jumping out nice and quick. So hopefully we get some action there on that island to earn some of those good old patchy points, because that island needs a little bit of love. If nobody drops there, I'm going to be crying for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we do see several teams just picking the different spots in this map, but one team that we did not speak about today, Patchy, is the Magicians. The Magicians finished in top place in the Inconsi. A lot was expected of them moving up all the way to Mzanza, and you can see their counterparts like Rela Insider, KHK, and so many different teams, even Aatrox, doing well, sitting in comfortable position that they did in Consi right here in Mzansi.
I've actually been wondering the same thing myself. They actually came into this season, started out pretty good. They were part of the teams that were really in contention. We were looking at KHK, we were looking at C, we were looking at the Magicians, and the Magicians were doing pretty well early on, but they definitely seemed to drop off, and like you mentioned, just not able to find. They've really been struggling a little bit, so it would be nice to see them get back into the action, and they've decided to do exactly the opposite of that. They're going all the way down to the other side of that map, so well, at least they're going to have a little bit of space to themselves. They'll have some time. Maybe they'll pick themselves up a couple of free upgrades in terms of that leaderboard. Maybe they'll just get some placement points if they stay away from the fight for long enough. But yeah, I must say, if I was the Magicians right now, I'd definitely be looking into ways to try and get more aggressive, or find a new kind of style to approach the games with, because obviously whatever it is that they're doing now doesn't seem to be working as they would like it to. So maybe a little bit of adaptation needs to come in from them, or perhaps they just need to find their groove, because right now, yeah, definitely not what we expect out of them. We want to see a little bit more coming through from the team there, and it would be nice. I mean, they're one of the Mauritius teams. We have a couple of Mauritius teams actually in this particular lobby. I think there's about 5 or 6. So yeah, I mean, we'd like to see a little bit more coming through for them. For the rest of these teams, though, I mean, it must be really difficult actually if you're a team like the Magicians and you're trying to find your groove, you're trying to find that momentum in these games, but you're up against teams like G3, up against teams that are really tearing up the points right now. I mean, we're talking KHK, we're talking about Team Somalia even, who've been doing really well. And then Solo Esports, who's been on the up and up. They've been boosting themselves straight up that leaderboard like nobody's business. It must be really tough to try and, adapt when you're facing teams that are that capable.
Yeah, definitely. They're one of those teams. I watched them throughout the entire console last season, and they were really surprising because they're one of those consistent teams. I can liken them to the play style of G3. Always finding the right position, the right spots, and sort of like working together as a team to take out their opponents. They're really smart in the way they work together as a team. But I'm not sure exactly what's happening this season. But maybe in the next round, if they do qualify, we may see them light up again. But taking a look at the several different teams, you can see, KHK right there, all the way in Rosehawk, not too far away from the guys from NK and XIS as well. We may see some action coming down between those teams right there. But taking a look at this map, you can already see the guys from INF just sitting down in the middle right there. So they're already trying to get themselves a good spot. They've been also, doing well so far in the entire NCONC. We do see GT, staying in the family spot right there in farm. The guys from Black Clover sitting right there in military base unique as well. Just taking a look at this map actually. It does look like it's gonna move towards that, southwest region, and a lot of these teams are going to need to begin to rotate again. Team Somalia is also another team that wasn't doing too well at first, but they've been picking up things so far in recent weeks, and it's really good to see.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly is. I mean, of course, that team coming out of Somalia, they're giving us quite a good show. And the only other team from Somalia in this particular grouping is the Infinity AF. So, yeah, no, Team Somalia has really been quite consistent. Definitely unexpected, at least from my side. They did, and they've been staying pretty consistent, staying up towards the top of those leaderboards there and keeping themselves out of trouble, which is great. I can't say the same for a couple of the teams that we saw yesterday, and of course, one of those teams that we have also seen in the lobby today is of course going to be XO Redefined, who definitely need
Mm.
to put their work in. I mean, today's games are going to be because right now not in a good spot. I think they're sitting in position number 26 at the moment, which is definitely not where you want to be. You want to get yourself up out of there as quickly as possible because the time is running out. Every week you have less and less games to play and less chances to put those points on the board. And I mean, if you get caught in that relegation zone when the round ends, it is over.
Yeah, definitely over for them. If they do get caught, they got to find a way to play it really smart, smarter than they have been, so far. It does look like they're pretty much just going to go around right there towards that region around prison to most likely maybe get a little bit more loot. I've seen a lot of teams do this when they want to get more meds, just use those heal strats to get themselves some extra placement points, as we get into the final zone and the final circle. But we just see guys from G3, and this is exactly what they do. This is why they get themselves into that top five in every single match, trying to get themselves into a central position to be in that final fight. They're always making those kind of moves. And I feel like that's something a lot of teams need to do a bit more. Go into those centers. Some teams get really scared, of getting taken out quite early, so they kind of like just edge it a lot, and I see a lot of teams do that, and then they rotate in late. But sometimes that may not just work for you. Sometimes you may just be rotating in quite late, and just get taken out. Sometimes you got to take these fights against the big boys and get them out of the game quite early.
Yeah, that is actually something that we've seen a couple of times earlier on in this season that worked out really, really well. We saw some engagements with those teams, with those really heavy hitting teams, and we see them get eliminated early on, which opens up so much space for the rest of the teams on the map, and it just completely changes the whole game. It plays out completely differently. Right now, though, we still have those big heavy hitting teams on the board. We've got G3 rolling up in towards the middle of the map at the moment. We've got KHK up in towards Razak. Of course, Team Somalia up there in towards North George. So the entire map still got some big presence when it comes to those teams. Got to be careful of the space at the moment. Looking pretty good. The teams have lots of space, lots of time to work with as well. So there's not a huge rush in terms of getting things done too quickly. But certainly, when it comes to XO Redefined, the team that is on your screen here, the team from Mauritius, they have to get something going, got to pull up their socks and make sure that something happens in one of these games at least. As I mentioned, this in towards position number 26. So they need at least, I'd say, a good 15 points to really boost themselves into an okay position. So we'll see if they can accumulate such things. For now, we'll have a look at that zone. It does decide to rotate up in towards the north and get itself busy. Most of the teams inside already, so they're going to be sitting A-okay. Only a couple of teams still need to make that rotate. Team Somalia just getting themselves done in North George. BBC, of course, having to rotate from Milta, where they always drop. And the Magicians obviously coming up from the south there in Primorsk, as well as Mars sitting on the military island.
All right, definitely. Just taking a look at that zone right now. We might be seeing some top action coming on between several different teams.
I keep making that mistake, man. Yeah, like I always see that one player from Team Unique, and he has the Mars tag, and I'm like, oh, it must be Mars, and I realize no, Mars is not in this. That's Team Unique down on the island.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. It happens. All right, so now you see different teams just holding that central spot. You do see the guys from G3 just scouting around different positions. Where you got the Sidemen, you got Sincerity. Sincerity, sitting in that relegation zone, and one of the teams that do need to get a whole lot of points, to boost themselves away from that. And we've seen teams like Atro to do it. So a lot of these teams will know, it's possible to get, that winner chicken dinner, regardless of our position so far. If Atros can do it, definitely a team like Sincerity, who has been in the Umzansi for quite a while and has got all that massive experience, can definitely get a whole lot more points. And that's exactly what they're going to be telling themselves. So you can see them making that real good play right now to sit in a central position, which they are currently doing also as well. The guys from Black Clover, Infinity, also trying to get themselves into a good spot. So it's really lovely to see several different teams right here just trying to hold that spot within that zone. And yeah, let's see how it goes. Let's see that comes through.
Yeah, we will just have to wait and see. At the moment, the teams are getting nice and central inside that zone. We see a couple of shots coming through. Ammo right up here with Yujiro from Solo, who is currently down, and I can't see any of his teammates anywhere in the nearby vicinity, which is a little bit of a problem. Solo Esports, having done really, really well yesterday, not giving us a show today. Starting off with a little bit of a choke, maybe a bit of a mistake there in terms of their separation. Of course, BBC spotting out the rest of that Solo team up on the side of the mountain. So yeah, a little bit tough for them, the fact that they're going to have to let one of their teammates go unless they can suddenly make that rotate. Now, that looks like too much of a distance. I think Yujiro is basically done for. Which is a little bit unfortunate. So Solo Esports are going to have to operate on a lower man count than usual. But as you can see, for the rest of the teams, not too much of an issue. They're just rotating in, moving in towards the center of that zone to try and make rotations a little bit easier. You can see the Sidemen up in this compound of KHK, definitely on the other side there. Just keeping them in the crosshairs, making sure they don't get too cheeky here in their compound. We're really just waiting for those fights to start in earnest. We've seen a couple of shots back and forth between the teams, but eventually they're going to have to decide to make the attack.
Oof, man, KHK is one of those teams, if I was a player, I don't want to be facing them, early on. They're one of those teams that, you never know how they're going to attack you. They're always flanking. They're always really smart about how they play. And even when they lose, one or two players, it's really hard to finish them up. But just take a look at that zone right there, making that shift again, dribbling a lot of these teams and, just getting Infinity into that center. They actually didn't move. But right now they're holding, okay, they did move. But right now they're holding a central position as well as Sincerity, Solo Esports, and BC.
Yeah, that solo zone shift is going to be really, really huge for the next couple of minutes. You can see G3 making their way very, very quickly in towards the middle of that map, hoping to try and get themselves a good spot in the center. But absolutely everyone is in the exact same mindset right now, which means everyone is just making a frantic dash in towards the middle of zone. And hopefully that results in a whole boatload of battles and kills right now. The shots coming in from Vibe, going to take aimbot down. Team Solo, of course, up here in the compound, just watching everyone in their crazy rush to try and get into that zone. BBC, of course, making their push through past KHK. and the rest of those teams, they're Solo and Infinity, of course, stuck in the mix. G3 has found themselves up here right in the middle of the battle, or at least the soon-to-be battle, and they're trying to go at it. So everyone's trying to find themselves a spot. They've got a heal, they've got a compound, they've got this and that. Everyone's just digging in for the long haul because this is where the battles start in earnest. And there's G3 going off on towards EXO, redefined. This is so unfortunate for EXO. They're needing something for the comeback, needing something for the points, but they just can't make it happen. And it's G3 that run into them and take out a couple of their players, which is absolutely not how you want things to go. I mean, if you were XO, you need to find someone that you can take out earlier on, something that you can do to get yourself points. And one of those things is not going up against G3 right now.
Yeah, G3 is probably the team who's the most on fire right now in this lobby. You don't want to be facing them too early on, but it did look like some of the guys from EXO, got taken out while trying to find a spot. This happens sometimes. A lot of these teams are looking to get the points, and what happens in lobbies like this is, you then find, a small circle with a lot of players, a lot of teams. We're down to, this really tight zone right now, and there are about 57 players. Just take a look at that. There's not a lot of space to work with, so you find a lot of players just hanging around, in open space, as you can see what the G3 guys just doing right now. They're not working with builders right there, so a lot of teams trying to make those rotates could just get into that trap and get taken out by them.
Yeah, well, we're about to wait and see where the next zone is going to drop because, of course, that blue is slowly closing in, pushing the teams a little bit closer and closer every single time. G3 with their eyes set in towards the team there from Black Crystal. Another Mauritian team there down in the compound. Just keeping an eye on them, making sure they don't push on out. But with the next zone drop, it might be a different story. In the meantime, shots coming in towards Sincerity as they make their rotate. Their dagger is going to be pushing in that direction along with the rest of the team. You can see that zone has rotated slightly towards Pachinki. So G3 still A-OK in that particular position. Infinity now moving up in front of them. The Natural Killers right behind G3. Another team that's been struggling just a little bit. That team there from South Africa, the Natural Killers, have not been able to get themselves into a groove either so far in this season. And yeah, they're really just waiting to turn on at the moment because so far everyone else has really been stepping it up.
They're one of those teams, I've talked about earlier on in the season. They have the firepower to take on any team. I've seen them in previous seasons, just do it. And, they came into the relegations last season and, they absolutely blew teams away and got themselves back right into the Umzansi. So I'm not really sure what exactly it is, if they do need to work on their synergy. And that happens sometimes, but they're a team that, you don't want to joke with, you don't want to take them for granted because they could take you out if you do sleep up.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that front there. Definitely a team that could be a whole lot more impactful than they are right now. And at the moment, they are teetering on the edge of relegation, which is not a spot where you really want to be. As you can see on your screen here, the Sidemen making a rotate down towards the bottom of the screen. BBC right up ahead of them. And of course, Team Solo right up towards the north of that zone. You can see the rest of the teams moving in from the south, and it's an absolute bloodbath there. Dagger getting hit by Inky there. That DP doing the damage. Absolute insanity there. Just going ham with the shots there. That magazine is too big. It is just chowing everyone for breakfast. You can see those damages just going left, right, and center. Syntax trying to hold back the favor over towards Inky. Keish gonna do that. Everyone is looking for blood right now. And some of them are finding it. You can see there's very limited cover here. Some flipped over cars to try and get a little bit of space going. But ultimately, everyone is in a very, very tough spot. The zone is not making it easy for any of these teams. Team Somalia right up here in the fields with Sincerity and the Magicians. And I think in a situation like this, the Magicians and Sincerity are in a little bit of a tough spot.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot. You see these three teams right here. You'll be curious to see who does get, the upper hand. But these three teams definitely do need those points. They do need to move up on that leaderboard, But definitely, I'm looking at the guys from the Magicians. They need to get, more points up that leaderboard. They need to perform. They need to be taking out these teams. They need to be making the push onto those teams if they want to climb all the way up and show, talent that we do know them for as the Nkonsi champions. But you can see Paradox right now doing the work, popping up shots onto the guys from, Team Somalia. But he does get taken out by Unique Cash and gets sent back into the lobby right there.
Yeah, Team Somalia, of course, wreaking havoc as they do hopping into those buggies to try and reposition over the line, but they still find themselves with a little bit of a problem up ahead of them. Of course, there's quite a few teams that are trying to stop them from getting in. Those HP bars looking lower and lower as we go. Sincerity could potentially capitalize on their low HP state. They still are 4 players strong, but that might just change if they're not careful. Willie, in the meantime, getting taken down there from Sincerity there. Lots of fights happening all over the board. As you can see, everyone is generally within range. That zone rotating up towards the north. And G3, EXO, Redefined, and Infinity are all there inside already. And they're going to be doing some gatekeeping for sure. Now, of course, Team Somalia still in a very difficult situation as they do need to make the push up past a whole lot of these teams. The Magicians, of course, being one of the teams right up next to them to try and deal a little bit of damage. So they've got their work cut out for them if they want to make that rotate into zone.
All right, so just taking a look at that zone again, you can see G3 is in it. The guys from Unique are trying to make their way and find a good spot, but Six God popping up shots onto several different teams around them. Rainbow Six just being dealt that damage right there. So you can see Prime and Optimus trying as much as possible to smoke the region and evade the shots coming out right there from Six God, who's doing a lot of work right here. They've just got themselves about 1 kill, but they're already setting themselves up to take out several different teams who are not trying to make their way up into that zone. You can see the guys from Solo as well sending out a scout, into the zone. And I do love that play, by the way. It's like controlled damage in some way. Send out one player to try to find that spot, and he can now tell the rest of his teammates exactly the position to move in. But the guys on GP just focusing their sights onto Rainbow Six and just popping them out. But you can see NK right here trying as much as possible to put in the shots onto BC, and this is exactly what they need. They need to hop on, and Osiris doing the work, taking down 2 players for his team and sealing the fate right there for BC.
Yeah, the natural killers up here have made some things happen. Finally, we've been waiting for them to put some points on the board, and they have found some kills for the time being. In the meantime, G3 under a little bit of assault as Rainbow Six starts to push in from the side. Of course, they're going to have to get those reses in ASAP if they don't want to get pushed. Almost going to make it happen, but up comes Prime. He wants to end them as soon as possible, and he's going to find those shots into a couple. Just quite a bit of damage here. But is he going to find the kills that he needs? Prime does get a couple of knocks, and that is going to be a huge problem here for G3 Burden, trying to get that HP up as quickly as possible because he's got to re-engage as these teams are just continuing to push. There's Optimus right in his crosshairs. The shot going into Prime. G3 trying to do the damage control, but can they keep Rainbow Six under control? The answer is yes, as G3 finally cleans up on that battle, but not before getting so much damage done to them.
Man, that definitely is going to change the dynamics of things so far. As you can see, 2 players from G3 getting taken out. They won that fight against Rainbow Six, but with the damage that has been done to them, a lot of teams would just be looking at this and saying, hey, this is probably our opportunity, as 2 players from G3 have been taken out. Now we can definitely push them and take them out. So you will see maybe teams like NK just making that push right there. But on the outsides, onto the guys from Sidemen, who are now pushing up onto EXO Redefined, who do need a lot of points, so I do feel for them. But coming up against Sidemen, the team who's stepping it up right here, they're probably not going to hold back against you. But it does look like they're just below the guys from EXO who are up on that build. And the nades, just going out from Sleepy. So they are just down to Dope. He's got to find a way to hold back for his team. But the nades just going in and finishing it up right there as they do take EXO out of the game. I do really feel for them, Patrick. I do feel for them.
Yeah, just not an easy time whatsoever. It is a feels bad, man. But the game must go on, and go on it will. As you can see, KHK, Solo, Esports, Team Somalia, all crowded down here towards the south of the zone. And this is Team Solo, as you can see right here up on the screen, putting their crosses in towards KHK, who needs to make it across that line to try and get into safety. The same can be said for a couple of teams in the surrounding area. You can see Infinity off in the distance, as well as the Sidemen also trying to get into the zone. And of course, as it is so tiny right now, we've got 9 teams and 27 players left. Team Somalia pushing up on towards Team Solo, who is going to make it out of this one. Shots coming through from Indigas, but he can't make it happen. Team Somalia from Somalia is going to show that they have some skills pushing out and clearing out as well.
And these guys are stepping it up, but now turning our sights onto the guys from KHK, who you know what they do, you know how they play. Every single time they step into your zone, they're definitely bringing the fear into teams, and I think that's exactly what they do right here. As they turn their sights onto the guys from Sidemen, they've taken out one or two of their players. They've confirmed one. They got Sleepy on the ground, and there's also another player just sitting right there in the building, and they'll be looking to take him out as well. But now turning our sights onto G3, who's showing, we may just be two players, but don't push us. Don't push us. We're enough. We're enough. We're very well capable of taking you out if you do make us, get into that rage mode right there. As you can see, NK is now down to just that last player. And let's see, the decisions that G3, takes in this one.
Yeah, they've got a couple of decisions to make. There are 16s, 15 players, remember, that just chill on these maps that are on top of hills that are behind crates and things. Kato getting eliminated there by KHK on the side of the hill. Things are not going to be easy right now. Unique down towards the one side. We've got Team Somalia up ahead. KHK actually deciding to push on in and maybe pose a little bit of a threat to the players here from G3. These last two straggling players there. KHK maybe looking for a little bit of blood, but they've got some work to do before they can make it happen. And with that zone shift up towards the northeast, things are going to be very, very difficult. Now KHK trying to push up and get some control. Bearden laying down the fire and just once again laying waste to the players there from the natural killers. Not able to pick anything up. The bullets right in their back. Now KHK getting pushed. Louis trying to make things happen, but can he fight against Team Somalia? Can he hold back the forces? No, he goes down. Team Somalia taking control and pushing up once again, getting the thirst there for one of the players onto KHK and gaining themselves a little bit of space, but they still have a bit of a sprint to go before they get into the zone. Louis, of course, the unfortunate soul to get taken out there. Now Unique under fire as Buren continuing to lay down the damage. These guys do not care that there are two players alone. They are just going to go for it. They do as much damage as possible, and they are still an absolute threat right now on this map.
I think at this particular point in time, they're just saying, you know what, we're on top. We've gotten ourselves a couple of kills. We're down to top 5. It doesn't matter how it goes right now. I can just go on, pop out shots onto Team Unique. You go on and take care of KHK. Just fam, maybe one kills and see what you can do. And that's exactly how they're playing it right now. But guys from KHK, I felt really disappointed in, that separation coming from Luis. He probably should have stayed with his team. They should have pushed us a team, onto the guys from Team Somalia, and that may, have been, a different outcome right there. But you can see Brandon still doing the work right here as he does take cash down, and he just has one more player. Can he do it? Can he take them out of the lobby as he did to the guys from NK? And they're just being absolutely wild so far. As you can see, they're just sending teams down. I mean, don't this guy know they're just two players?
Sometimes it feels like each one of them is their own separate army right now. KHK going up against Team Somalia is going to find that win. They will pick up both of those kills, and now it's up to G3 to try and stop them from steamrolling this one. Can these two South African players make it happen against KHK from Angola, creeping up on them with that player advantage? It's a 3v2. G3 lying in the grass, waiting for something to happen. Who's going to be the first to make that mistake? Snurra very, very close to Tomac. Is he going to find them out? Who's going to pull the trigger first? Up it comes. Tomac goes down immediately. Now it's on to Buren. Low HP for him, but I think he's been spotted out right here behind this tree. It's only a matter of time before he gets 1v3 pushed. Can he make the miracle happen? No, the HP is too low. It's too many players. It's KHK taking the chicken.
Wow. Just take a look at how many kills coming in right there with the winner chicken dinner from KHK. They've got themselves 13 kills and that winner chicken dinner. And G3 remaining ever consistent right there, even when they were down to just two players, hanging on and getting themselves 7 kills and that second place position. And may still lead them in the top spot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they're still sitting there in position number 2. They've got themselves a pretty decent number of kills coming off there, but KHK off the back of that are going to be picking up so many kills that I think they've definitely taken the lead on that one. Plus the chicken is just going to be nice and sweet and in their pocket. But when it comes to that overall standings, I mean, our consistent performers are they just keep performing consistently. They're just going to stay on the top of the leaderboard so long as they keep doing what they do.
And we did say that we're looking at some of these teams that came in from the bottom, and KHK is one of those new teams who are showing that they can go toe to toe with the likes of G3 Temper. Now, I'm super excited to see that. And they didn't just do it, they did it in style. They have brought out so many amazing things today, and I'm looking for that. What was your highlight today? If I was going to ask you from that particular match, Axfire. Hello? Axfire? Oh my god, my mic is muted. Hi guys, I've been talking to myself the whole time. Axfire, I'm gonna ask you a question. What was your highlight of that particular match?
For me, it was pretty much when the guys from GT, were taking out teams regardless of the fact that they were a two-man squad, just definitely showing why they're on top, why they're the leaders right now, showing that kind of gameplay that we were used to in previous seasons. Because it just seemed like Patrick said this in a few weeks back, right? That GT just seemed to over the past two seasons have fallen out, from what we usually know them for. And it seems like they're finding that reading back again. They're becoming that fearless team, that fearless set of players that we do know them for. And yeah, that was really lovely to see.
And I was saying earlier on that I'm excited about the fact that KHK is coming cozy and doing so well in the Umzansi Esports League. That just shows that the breeding ground has actually bred some nice talents that can devour chickens. Now let's take a look at the standings after the first game. Group A versus Group D. Patty, talk us through this one.
Yeah, so of course it's KHK keeping their spot at the top there, 15 placement points for the chicken, and of course 13 kills to give them 28 points, almost 30 points in the single game here. G3 Tempo, of course, coming in that second place, plus the 7 kills, giving them 19 points there. And Team Somalia keeping with their consistency and performing really, really well. I mean, every time these guys are on the board, you know that they're going to be placing high at the very least with some good consistency. So they're going to be climbing continuously. Unique as well, also doing the same. Good to see the Natural Killers up here in the top 5, getting themselves at least double digits off the back of that game. One of the things that I'm not seeing, however, is I'm not seeing XO Redefined picking up the points that they have been looking for so far, which is a little bit unfortunate for them. They're really going to have to try and put the points on the board. The other team that we haven't seen anything from yet is the Magicians, but Solo Esports, it is not characteristic to see them down here in position number 11, maybe just slipping back a little bit from their really solid performance in previous days and weeks. So I'm hoping to see them come back a little bit in maybe games 2 and 3.
And we can see Juneboy being the MVP, the kill leader for this particular game with 5 kills, 595 points, and a survival time of 24 minutes and 36 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen amazing action in game 1. What are we expecting for the rest of the day? I'm super excited about what's happening, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next match. Ladies and gentlemen, more chicken and more protein for all of us. We'll see you after this break when we come back for game 2. Don't go anywhere. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the greatest show on earth that we all know is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, brought to you by none other than Nordwing Gaming. And I said Season 3, but it's actually Season 4. Season 4. I said I was going to say that. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is Season 4. My fingers are up in the air so you can tell exactly what I'm talking about. And we just had a winner with a chicken dinner from KHK in Game 1 of Group A versus Group D today. Let us look at the kill board, the standings. Tony Agfire, what do you see? G3 Temper, Team Somalia, KHK, Sidemen, Affinity. What's happening over here?
I mean, definitely, we're beginning to see that leaderboard just shape up right there. The teams who have been so far, shining throughout the entire season are continuing to do so. You see the guys from KHK, who are sitting right there on top of the leaderboard, continuing right there with 28 total points, getting the kills and getting the placement, as well as GT Temper, who's currently sitting on top, still remaining consistent in second place right there and getting a couple of kills, for themselves. So this is still shaping up to be a really cool game. But there are a couple of teams that I'm expecting to see fight their way up on that leaderboard. Like we saw the guys from Atros getting that winner with the chicken dinner. I'm hoping to see teams like Redefined grab themselves a couple more points. There's also the Magicians, who were a team that we've spoken about. A lot of people are really looking to see them reignite that fire that we saw in Consi when they came in on top. And yeah, that's just what it is so far. But hoping that we'll see, more of these teams, right there on the second page, just light things up right here in Sanhok.
Well, we're hoping that the Magicians bring out some magic and the solo esports guys go solo to give us some action in this next map, which is of course a CQC heaven that is Sanhok. And Patch, this is my personal favorite map because I like to see teams getting at it. I am hoping for some first minute action as soon as we land, teams landing on top of each other and thinning out the herd so we don't have the chaos that was the first match, which is everybody huddled up in like the final circle and everybody dropping like flies. So, who are you expecting to sort of turn up or stand out on this particular match amongst these two groups?
I have to say that I have been looking at Team Solo at the moment. One of the teams that really surprised me recently, and I've sort of been rooting for them now, waiting for them to sort of pull back that a little bit. Because, whenever you see a team that sort of you don't expect to do well and then they do really well, you kind of want to get on that bandwagon, but you want them to prove it first. So I want to see Solo doing a little bit more because they've been moving up that leaderboard really, really quickly. They're sitting in like position number 5. Yeah, I want to get on the Solo bandwagon, but I need them to do a little bit more. I want to see what they have to offer, what they have to bring to the table. So I'm hoping that we see at least a chicken out of them in one of these two games. So of course, Sanhok is a really great way to start that out because, as you mentioned, with the CQC action, with the close quarter stuff happening, I mean, it's all in your fingertips. You can control the game a lot quicker because people are most likely going to be caught out by the close quarters, going to be caught out by the quick zones, by we've seen it a lot of the times where the rotates don't really go so well because there's so many teams in the nearby vicinity. So I'm hoping that maybe they can take advantage of that and get some dubs here.
So dubs, we are looking for. That is a highlight on solo esports because I'm actually rooting for them as well. I like to root for some guys I've never seen before. The name just sounds really nice. It's like they're going solo against the entire lobby. It just sounds like a story for like, I don't know, like a movie or something. But we have seen the likes of KHK come through with the winner chicken dinner. Can they do it back to back? This is game 2 of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in the very capable hands of Ackfire and Patchy as they talk you through all the action. My name is Dr. Sid. I will see you after map 2.
All right, cheerio. Thanks, Dr. Sid. And now we head off into map number 2. It is, of course, going to be a Sanhok. It is a very nice flight path, just slicing that map straight in half from the bottom to the top, from the south to the north. And the teams are going to be jumping down into all of their favorite spots. No problem. Everyone gets their pick. And so I'm hoping that with that comfortability comes a little bit of extra aggression because I need something out of these teams today. I need something extra spicy in the early game, because that is something that we have been really, really lacking here. And maybe it's just because the teams don't want to pull out the, the big guns before we get into the next rounds. But I really want to see a little bit of action here. I mean, spice up my Sunday, guys. Come on.
Yeah, definitely get into those reactions. That's exactly what we do love to see. But taking a look at this zone right there, shifting all the way towards that southern region, we do see the guys from Sidemen and Rainbow Six just calling it out in this particular position. And they may just be going against each other right here because, we don't want to see them back off. We want to see that early action. I just see Metrics and Hunter so far. So might it be just two players? Two players. It does look like they have two players. I'm looking at the map and I see that they may have, their teammates just behind them providing that support. So I'd be curious to see who first of all gets that first knock and begins to open up this particular fight. So let's go.
Yeah, let's have a look and see what is going to be happening here in the Rainbow Six versus Sidemen matchup here. Of course, Rainbow Six coming out of Madagascar and the Sidemen coming out of South Africa. So we'll have a see and, well, just take a peek and see who's going to be able to take this win here. We'll see if any of these teams are actually going to take the fight as well, because a lot of the time when we see these teams dropping really close, they don't want to go too quickly. They don't want to go too far out of cover. Nobody wants to make that first mistake, but of course that draws out the engagement very, very long. And sometimes that can be a little bit painstaking. So we'll have a look and see if any of these teams or any of these players decide to get things going anytime soon. Looks like Sleepy is looking for something, but we'll decide against tossing the nade. So right now it is just standard. It's the slow play. It's the cautious play. Nobody wanting to make that first mistake just yet. And I suppose that is going to continue to be the case until somebody decides that they've had enough of this and they want the compound all to themselves, which I'm hoping somebody eventually does. Otherwise, we'll just potter around for the first few minutes of this game as usual, and then we'll see what happens after that.
All right, so let's see who first of all, takes things going. You can see it, Matrix just sending out that nade right there, taking down, Jojo's HP a little bit. And you can see Jojo just trying to send back that return fire onto Metrics. And they're just looking to see who, first of all, draws that first blood right here. So, Patchy, judging from these two teams, we've known them for quite a while. Rainbow Six and Sidemen. Who do you think just has that edge when it comes to firepower, to seal this one?
I think maybe Rainbow Six has a little bit of an edge depending on if they can actually get all of their players into the right place. And right now they're starting things off. Hunter going to get caught out there in a little bit of a spot, although the return coming from Matrix might just be enough. Hunter does get thirsted, but Mojo is taken very, very low on HP, and you can see there it is. He gets taken out there. Optimus not in a good spot either, so Matrix is clamping back, and the Sidemen have the chance to get some revenge for their fallen teammate. Up comes Sleepy as well to try and reinforce this position, but Matrix just walking into the grinder without any assistance. Sleepy to try and make something back, make something happen. In comes the Sidemen to try and gain a little bit of that ground against Rainbow Six, and they might have just had it. The Purpose coming in with the res is actually going to stop it halfway through, and that's going to be a little bit of a problem. He's going to go down, choosing rather to push, and he makes the right decision, making the decision to push in and stop that res. A very good decision indeed, and that is going to net him the victory for his team there in that little engagement. So, yeah, I guess I called that one pretty solid.
Yeah, definitely really interesting. When you do make a move like that and you actually see, teams, live up to your prediction right there, on Rainbow Six. GG's to them, by the way, getting those extra points and taking out, the guys from Sidemen. So turn our sides right here onto BC. This is right next to Unique. And it does look like, Draken has spotted him, might be making a move right here.
Might just be Draken taking some of those long-range shots and certainly finding a couple of them, although they are under a little bit of pressure with some players pushing right up onto their position. They've only got this rock for cover, and they've been in a couple of fights before this. You can see Dejol very low on HP. The res does come through as G3 continuing to just fire the bullets down range and suppress them. which is something that G3 does like to do as well. They like to keep you behind the cover as they slowly encroach on your position or do whatever it is they need to do and take it full advantage of you.
Man, I really do feel for the guys from EXO. They're one of those teams, we're talking about. They do need the points. They do need to climb up. They're in Umzansi, so they definitely shown, that they can fight. They can take, on teams. But so far, I'm not too sure what exactly isn't working for them, but they do look like they're just going to leave that position as there's so many different teams for them to contend with. All right, so we'll take a look at, Draken and the rest of his team. I do see Unique, not too far away from them. Can he play spoiler? Have they noticed them? Have they not? Not sure. But let's see how that one plays out. I'm not really sure because they're just really quiet right now.
Yeah, and I mean they've got a really good pincer right now. Sorry is directly behind the team there from Black Crystal, should I say? And now with G3 rolling up on the side, I mean, if there is ever a time to take this opportunity, it's probably now. So we'll see if they do manage to make that happen, or if they're just going to get destroyed by the meat grinder that is all the teams in the surrounding area. So Draken pushing forward, Keish is there. Sorry, slowly creeping up on the back line, but I'm not sure if they know that he's actually there yet. So he might just have them completely duped. The Jewel slowly creeping up to the tree, might suspect that something is up. So far, hasn't pulled the trigger just yet. G3 still in the area, but not looking to take on any of those teams just yet. They're listening out. KHK, of course, taking the shots in towards Vibe. He gets taken out immediately there. Definitely don't want to be trying to go up against KHK. Their crosshairs too accurate for you. And now Joel and Altair going to get completely caught out by Sorry with his sneak attack there. He does get taken out eventually, though, but certainly quite a strong attack for them. Instantly going to pay off, as well as Unique, as you can see there, is going to win that fight against Black Crystal, and they will get that elim. So we are down to 13 teams. A very nice sneak coming out of Sorry there. Well played maneuver from Unique. It's going to net them some kills and a quick placement up, but it's not to be done just yet because Black Clover under fire from KHK on the complete opposite side of that map there. And you can see KHK, of course, in complete control of the situation. We did see Black Clover in the water, and of course now they have drowned and relinquished their fate to the ocean. 12 teams now remaining. Everyone's got their own piece of the pie for now, and of course that zone still taking its time to come on in. Gojo going to get taken out by BBC there in the kill feed, as you can see. So yeah, things have started off quite nicely. We've had some nice early eliminations and some early fights happening, and that's created quite a bit of space for these teams to play in now.
Yes, exactly. It has created, that space that we were talking about. We want to see those early fights going down, and it was really interesting to see how Unique just took on, that team, and just sneak through, just kept quiet, waiting for the right time to just bounce through, but turning our sights onto Solo and EXO redefined. EXO is one of those teams that actually does need to step things up. They do need the skill points, and I'd be curious to see how they do play against Samurai and the rest of his team, how they battle against them and take them out. These are the defining moments for them. It's how they play, in this moments that determines their entire season, and if they want to remain in the Mzansi. And I don't know, for me, they haven't been doing it so far. They're here, in the Mzansi, so they do have the firepower to take on any team. They've shown that by just by getting here, just by being here, they've shown that they can surpass top circumstances, all the way in Nkansi, which was no small feat, because you can see a lot of those teams coming all the way from Nkansi doing absolutely well in the Mzanza right now. So it's no push of a lobby. But if they do want to remain here, then they want to, as much as possible, take on this fight. I do feel like their morale is probably bruised at this particular point in time because they've lost a lot of fights, but they want to keep doing it until they find a rhythm, and that's exactly what they need, because a lot of teams, that fall out of the Mzansi might not get the opportunity to get back into it.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. EXO redefined looking to try and keep their spot. And they're going to have to fight to get it. Right now, they are in position number 12, and they could potentially change that depending on how they play this. Of course, as I mentioned, 12 teams remaining. So if they don't want, if they certainly don't want to go out now, but if they do, they'll get a little bit of points. Some very quick shots coming through on towards Team Solo. Unexpected for them, and they just instantly get eliminated. Their EXO redefined here on the side, looking for something more. We'll see if they can make it happen. Right now, they've got the numbers and they've got a good position as well. Could potentially utilize that. Bjorn and Samurai now making their way down the hill. Could potentially run straight into the crosshairs here from XO, although they have decided to move back just a little bit, giving some leeway for this particular maneuver. Para, of course, coming in from the back line as well. That was a very easy zone shift that the teams just experienced just now. And none of the teams really having to make huge rotates. Of course, it's just Solo and XO redefined as well as BBC that do need to make their way across. But BBC is doing what they do and taking a quick swim across the channel as they like to do, and just keeping it BBC style. We'll see for the moment. XO, of course, making the quick rotate across that line. Team Solo having to make the long way around to try and get themselves safely into that zone. The rest of the teams sitting quite snug inside safety. G3 here on the other side of the road across from the Magicians, who have also had a little bit of a struggling time in terms of their performance in this season. They're sitting in what looks like position 19 at the present moment. So, they've got a little bit of work to do if they want to make sure that they don't slip down that log, because there are a couple of teams that are looking to get themselves out of that relegation hot seat. We'll have a look and see who those teams are going to be. EXO, of course, being one of them. They are down in position number 25. They need to do a little bit of work to get themselves out of relegation. And as of course, we get a bit of a lull in the fighting, that is soon to change as Buren is now making an approach in towards Team Somalia. It looks like G3 might just be looking for their land.
Yeah, exactly what they're doing. There's something that I see from a lot of these teams, like G3, they've got the confidence, they're pushing up on any team right here. They're pushing up on any particular position because they know they're on top. They know the worst case scenario is they're just going to drop all the way to second on that leaderboard. They've got nothing to lose at this particular point in time, so they can push any position. And that confidence definitely shows in how they play. And I feel like a lot of those teams who are sitting in that bottom, point, do need that kind of gameplay. But we'll turn our sights onto G3 for now, as they do go on to Beast, and Beast is able to get a knock right there. But the support, and this is exactly what you see from Big 3 a lot of times, when one player goes down, there's always another player who is coming to back them up because they're never really pushing alone. But you can see Tomac right there just holding a spot on the back, taking a look at Benji and Kingerman, who are all the way on the other side of Pinean right here, and taking a look at the guys from G3. Let's see. Do you think, Patchy, that they might have the firepower to sort of like repel the attack so far, or G3 is just gonna do what they've been doing so far and just continue to seal this one off?
Look, I mean, if there was ever going to be a team that can make this happen, G3 is one of them. These guys are like sharks. If they smell blood, they go for it, and they just tear you to pieces. But on the opposite side of that table, of course, if there was going to be a team that could maybe mount a defense, Team Somalia certainly might be able to pull it off. Right now, didn't start off on the greatest foot, of course, because G3 did catch the one player out, and now they're split up a little bit, so they've got to regroup and try and punch back. Kingerman up here on the roof could potentially hold a nice angle into G3, but look at this. G3 just moving like an absolute unit right now. They get in, they get the kill, and they start moving again, and you can see the rest of them on the move surrounding the compound and trying to get a sniff on where the rest of those players are. And of course, once they do find those locations out, they will get on that as soon as possible, because one kill just isn't enough for these guys. You have to get at least a bit more. So right now they've taken control of this side of the compound. El Chapo is separated from the rest of his team, who are on the other side of that channel. So he's got to be careful that he doesn't get taken out, because if G3 spot him out, it is not going to be a fun time for him. It's going to be a 1v4, and that is just not a team that you want to take on in a 1v anything.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to be, taking, G3 out, 1v4. They're one of those teams. I've rarely ever seen them getting squad wiped, because they're always together. They always come back. That's one of the things that I did notice about them from the beginning. But look at EXO redefined, just driving past, these teams right here and just getting, into, what my people would call wahala. You just come in right there in between a fight, and they're just minding their business. And now G3 has smelled blood. They have smelled it. You can see the way Tomac is moving, and Gunnar is also following with six god right there. They've seen that XO redefined is in that spot, and they just decided, what, to just get a better position to be able to take on these teams and just gatekeep them all the way in that zone.
Yeah, the move that we just saw from G3 is exactly why they are such a good team. Immediately they noticed, well, first of all, they heard those shots coming out of Team Somalia, but they also saw that knock in the kill feed, and they immediately knew something was going on and instantly retreated straight up that hill because they knew that there was another team in play. So instead of risking that third party, they decided to relocate. A very, very good call from their IGL, whoever that is. And now, of course, Buden has gotten taken down, and they have found themselves caught out in a bit of a difficult situation. That, of course, just being because of the fact that they are now on the other side of that mountain. They have exposed themselves to some third-party angles instead of doubling back for their original prey, but they are still on the move, and if G3 can make it happen, well, they can certainly do it. They have spotted out the players on the top of that mountain just opposite them, but now they have a couple of difficulties to contend with. Of course, Team Somalia on the back line. They also noticed XO Redefined moving past them, but they don't have to worry about that because XO did move on, and you can see them down with the Magicians on the eastern side of that playable area. Blue Zone, of course, pulling up slowly as it does, almost about to redrop once again. You can see all the teams slowly starting to relocate to get themselves across that line. XO Redefined challenging the Magicians here for their spot in safety. Up comes that Blue Zone, pushing the teams forward, keeping them in that state of mind. They have to know that they got to outrun this Blue Zone. The Magicians now pushing on back. It's XO still crawling up. They have to be careful. This Blue Zone is going to start doing a little bit of damage as we move in towards zone number 4. BBC, in the meantime, getting taken out there. Law goes down to Samurai as Solo start taking the fights there. That zone shift going up in towards the northwest is going to mean that the rotates have to come through ASAP. G3 already on the rotate, so nice and quick for them, making sure that they're still inside the zone. For the rest of the teams, though, they have got to make an absolute frantic dash. And, well, XO Redefined have found themselves in a very difficult situation because they have to push past the Magicians and Sincerity and everyone else to try and get inside the safety.
Yeah, and just take a look at the position that G3 is on, just waiting for any team, who's looking to rotate into that zone right there. They're just gatekeeping because, they had headshots from XO Redefined, getting knocked out by the guys from Team Somalia. So they do know that there's a team looking to come from that angle, and they're just waiting right there at that particular point in time. I did think I was going to see a fight coming down from, XO and the Magicians, but those two teams, I don't know, they just seem to want to just hold back for now. When it comes to fighting. For me, I was looking at the two of them and saying to myself, you know what, if one of these two teams goes down, I'm definitely going to be okay with it because both of them do need points. Both of them do need that confidence. And if it's just one of them who makes that sacrifice for the other, I'll be very fine with it. You can see the Magicians trying to make their way up into the zone right now. BC just staying outside that zone and just trying to play spoiler. It's a really difficult position that BC is in, right there, as they do need to make their way into the zone, but there are a couple of teams just right there in front of them.
Yeah, they've put themselves in a very odd position, but it's going to net them a couple of shots. Bjorn almost getting taken down there. In fact, he will be nailed there by Lord, who was just hungry for that kill. BBC now having to make that push as quickly as possible because they are finding themselves lagging a little bit behind the Magicians on the back foot as most of the team has been eliminated. Of course, you can see the bleed outs there is just going to be left behind. The rest of those teams, or the players there, should I say, from the team from Magicians need to get out of there ASAP. And the BBC, they need to follow suit. Otherwise, they're going to get caught out by that Blue Zone. They've got to be careful here. We're very, very deep. That Blue Zone is doing quite a bit of damage. In any case, XO Redefined now very close up here with G3. Not a team that you want to be messing with, but Dope, he wants to mess. He wants to go for it. He's pushing up, but he's going to get caught up, not even by a G3, but rather by a third party. G3 just coming in for the extra kill, and XO Redefined not finding the positioning that they were looking for, not finding the foot in the door that they were looking for. Now they're down another player up against the likes of G3. This is not a position they want to be in. Sean definitely going to be going down now. Actually, almost goes down, but does get that heal in the nick of time as the blue zone starts to wash on in. Rogue actually looking for those third-party shots and doing some considerable damage there. In the meantime, Sigzagard does go down. Sean making it happen, but for the time being, he's not going to be able to outcrawl that blue zone. Now the rest of EXO Redefined is going to get caught in the blue. That's not a position you want to be in. Now pushing down in towards Sincerity, who have been holding those third-party angles. Gunner and Tomac now, of course, separated as G3 slowly losing man after man, losing a little bit of their power and their presence in this game. We're down to 11 teams and 28 players. Team Somalia right up ahead of G3. The Natural Killers right off to the side of them. BBC still engaging with KHK there in the kill feed and dying to the blue zone that they were so brazenly playing with.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking to myself, like, these guys are just playing spoilers to the guys from, Magicians. They got to get into the zone themselves, but it did look like they had a different plan. They wanted to get, as, little kill points as they, could get. And that definitely did work for them. Sincerity, another team, who's sitting all the way on the bottom of that leaderboard. But with Rogue Baby and all these guys, they've got themselves, a good spot within that zone. They may be able to go off and seal this particular game off, but they still do need to contend with a couple of teams right there, such as, KHK, G3, Rainbow Six, and the rest. Even Team Somalia, who's sitting out right here, turning their sights onto the guys from KHK, popping out some nades right there, but none of them really able to connect. They got to make their way into the zone. It's a really tough one for them as they do try to make that rotate, but the couple of teams, who are already in that spot. And you can see the guys from, Team Somalia trying to make that with NK right next to them, but they may be able to rotate into a good spot as we see the guys from, NK as well getting taken out while they're trying to make that rotation in. It's a really tough one for a lot of these teams. As you can see, Sincerity can now begin to take on shots onto the guys from KHK who are as well trying to make their way into the zone. But it does look like Sincerity still has a really good position.
Yeah, with that zone shift, it is going to favor Sincerity just a little bit. They've got some nice cover to utilize. The same cannot be said for the rest of these teams. Team Somalia right up here at the top of the zone, right across from the Natural Killers. And the crosshairs from Sincerity still going on. Rogue has just been an absolute menace in this game. The third-party shots coming all over the place, netting kill after kill, netting damage after damage, and she is just not stopping right now. Nova goes down, Snora, of course, hitting the deck as well. Kingman doing some work in towards Roshi. Aimbot, of course, picking up at that kill on towards Noah. And now everyone is going to absolutely have Natural Killers trying to defend their position from Team Somalia, but they will win it out in the end. El Chapo just barely keeping himself alive. Look at that, low HPs all across the board. He's the last player left for Team Somalia, but he will be able to survive behind this rock for just a moment longer. We've got 10 players left alive, 6 teams remaining inside this zone. Lord is the player here from BBC who has managed to keep this team's hopes and dreams alive. Is he going to be enough, however? That is the question, because right now every single one of these teams is out for blood, and right now Sincerity are in a brilliant position. The third party's now coming across the board is not going to make it easy for any of these teams to make the rotate. Lord getting picked up as he tries to push into the zone. Now 5 teams remaining as Pennywise all the way out in the blue zone is not looking like he is going to be able to make it in. So at this point, 4 teams remaining is about to be reduced. A whole lot more purpose going to be going down there as Pennywise does find him out. Optimus for Rainbow Six has come in to play the game, but 4 teams remaining as Wiley making it happen, putting the shots in towards purpose, finding kill after kill. Sincerity looking to take this chicken, and they are seeming to be in a brilliant position to do so.
Yeah, in my head, all I'm just thinking about at this particular point in time is Sincerity is pulling off an Aatrox. They are at the bottom point of that leaderboard, and they do need to get as much points as they can, and they've gotten themselves into a good position. They're a 3-man squad, so they definitely still have the numbers. They can take a look at several different teams, who are just trying to make their way into the zone right here. And you can see El Chapo just trying as much as possible to play spoiler right here, as he does take out another player right there from Rainbow Six. KHK, still hanging out in the zone. Okay, Pennywise has actually gone down. Yeah, it's actually gone down. So it is pretty much a done deal right here. As Sincerity, just hanging out right there with a 3-man squad. They need to make their way into the zone. But Rogue Baby getting taken down right there by El Chapo, who does get taken down as he's trying to make his way into the zone as well. And that will be a Sincerity game. This is a whole lot of points for them. They got themselves 11 points, and that winner chicken dinner, it would definitely be boosting them up on that leaderboard.
Yeah, absolutely. They were also one of the teams that were in that hot spot, in that hot seat, in that relegation zone, or at least in contention for the relegation zone. And they definitely did not want to stay there for very long. So, very, very well done to them for picking up a good amount of kills there, sliding that into the pocket and getting a very nice chicken dinner as well off the back of those sneaky plays, off the back of those third parties, and some good shots. Their team Somalia, of course, continuing with their consistency, getting that second place and a good couple of kills in their pocket as well. Rainbow Six in third, also picking up a nice amount of kills there. So, yeah, we see our consistent players once again consistently performing, and unfortunately, nothing off the backside of some of the teams that we were really looking out for.
Yes, it's happy to see some new people having chicken in their system, because when you think about it, chicken is meant to be available for everybody. You cannot just have one person just taking all the chicken. You understand me now? It won't be fair. So in a family, in a household of all these games, the chicken needs to be spread around. But at the end of the day, we do know that some people are going to have more chicken than others. Survival of the fittest. When you all digging your hand inside the pot and grabbing the chicken. Some people get more chicken than others. But ladies and gentlemen, big shout out to Sincerity. Big shout out to Rainbow Six Madagascar. I'm super happy for them because they needed those points. The table is being shaken up, ladies and gentlemen. We do not understand anything that is going on. We are just excited. Now, I can't wait. The standings are being permutated. Let's see exactly what happened in the second round of that second game for today, which was Sanhok. Akbar, I'm going to ask you, what did you think about? I think we had a lot of teams hold out till the final circle. There were quite a few teams hanging on there. What would you attribute that to as we take a look at the standings after game 5?
I think a lot of these teams, wanted to get as much points as possible, just like Sincerity, fighting it out, just like we saw from Aatrox. They're sitting at a really tough position, but they have had the experience, over previous seasons on how to grind out these points. They've done it before. It's not the first time. So for me, it was just a matter of when rather than, whether they had the ability or not. And yeah, we've seen them get those kills and, grabbing 26 points right there. Rainbow Six Madagascar as well, getting themselves 20 points, and Team Somalia remaining consistent, as well as KHK, grabbing themselves some extra, points right there. So for me, these teams, are continuing, I wouldn't say expected, but what they definitely needed to do.
And Patchy, tell us what we're looking at the leaderboard. Look at the second page. Solo Esports, Black Crystal. What's going on with these guys?
Yeah, I have no idea. Solo Esports not picking up the numbers just yet. I'm still holding fingers for the next game, though we still have one game left after this. But G3 certainly not finding the success that they were looking for. They did unfortunately run into a couple of problems, and they weren't able to really commit to some of those fights that they found themselves in. And of course, because of that, they weren't able to pick up the kills that we usually see them picking up. Of course, for the rest of these teams, are not really able to find that momentum. The Magicians have still been on a little bit of a slump here, not being able to find their momentum in the season just yet. They started off a little bit stronger, but yeah, they've dropped off since then. Now we're just waiting to see if they're going to make that comeback happen. Of course, the MVP has to come out of Sincerity Esports, and it is going to be Willie coming in with 5 kills, 831 points of damage, 24 minutes survival time, slap bang on the dot. Very nice. And yeah, once again, congrats to them for that very nice chicken dinner. And of course, with that one game remaining, I am seriously hoping that we see some teams stepping up. I'm waiting for the solo. I'm waiting for these teams because, like I said early on, I mean, we are running out of time here. We're running out of games. We're running out of weeks. If you need to put the points on, it has to happen now.
Has to happen now. We can't wait till later. But we can wait for one more map. So myself, Patchy, and Akfire will see you guys right after this break for the final map of the day, which is Miramar. This is the Umzansi Esports League Season 4, and this is PUBG Mobile. It's the final mapper for the day. Are you ready for some Miramar? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Sid. Welcome back to the Umzansi Esports League Season 4, brought to you by Nordwing Gaming. At this point, I want to ask everyone that if you are not following Nordwing Gaming on all our socials, you need to do so now. And make sure you go check out nordwinggaming.africa for all the hottest information on everything that is esports on the African continent. I'm here with Tony Akfire Ego and Patchy Bradford Crofton Ball. I gotta say that right. Sounds like this is a really cool name. Anyways, we have witnessed two amazing maps, Erangel and Sanhok, with a lot of action coming in, with two different teams coming away with the winner chicken dinner. KHK and Sincerity Esports is the final map of the day, Miramar, and we are expecting a throwdown. G3 Timber haven't done exceedingly well today. We're hoping that they come out on Miramar. And as Patchy said today, he is expecting some teams to do extremely well on this particular map. Now, looking at the standings after Game 5, Patchy, talk us through what's happening with some of the teams and what we should expect in the next map.
Yeah, so just glancing over the results there from game number 5, Sincerity doing a good job putting 26 points on the board and zooting themselves straight out of that relegation, which is absolutely great for them, and it shows that you can certainly make it happen. EXO Redefined being another one of those teams who could try to get out of there. They are now struggling to get out of it, but they're so close. I mean, it's within their grasp. If they get a good game off at some stage, maybe they can make it happen. As for predictions for what we could be seeing moving in towards Miramar, as you mentioned, I'm looking for G3 and I'm looking for Solo Esport. They still haven't gotten a chicken dinner today, and I'm waiting for them to get something. Even if it's a top 3 finish, I'll be happy. As for G3, definitely we expect them to perform at least something here on Miramar. Usually they can pull some performances out on this particular map. They have been known to do very, very well on it in the past. As for the rest of the teams, yeah, I guess it's just up in the end who actually decides to show up. KHK have already pulled one chicken dinner out of the hat today, and maybe they're looking for another one. Maybe they're extra hungry today for some chickens. So maybe we'll be seeing them pull something out of the hat today. Whatever the case is, we certainly are going to be getting those very nice long-range engagements, yes. And the team who takes that victory is going to be the team who manages to grasp that final chicken at the bottom of the pot.
Yes, the chicken at the bottom of the pot, which, as everybody knows and Akfire can attest, is the best part of the pot. In Nigeria, we call it the bottom pot. Bottom part of the pot is where the sauce and everything is waiting for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are literally about to take off into Miramar, which is the final map of the tournament. There will be more action next week, Friday, as we continue the Umzansi Esports League Season 4. Obviously brought to you by Nordwing Gaming and no one else. Now, Akfire, who are you rooting for in this final map of the day?
For me, I'm always rooting for the underdog, so it's definitely extra really fine to grab themselves, enough points to go up on that leaderboard. Because I feel like, if they go into relegation, they might have a really tough time. So if they could find a way to stay in the Umzansi, then they might find a rhythm again. So yeah,
I thought you were about to break into one of my songs. Like I feel like, what I'm saying? I thought you was about to give me like an ode or a rendition or something. I was just literally waiting to back you up with some harmonies. So I agree with rooting for the underdog. I'm not sure they're underdogs, but I really like Solo Esports. It's just something about the name that just brings a bell. Maybe just this because it starts with an S and my name is Sid. I don't know. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, are you super excited? Are you pumped? You need to, like I said, follow Northern Gaming on all our social media handles and check out northerngaming.africa. Patchy, predictions for this map. Who's gonna take it? Straight up. Let's pick one name.
I'm gonna stir it and say Team Somalia probably, or KHK maybe.
Ooh, all right. Tony, I'm going to leave them in your hands as you tell us your prediction for this match. Guys, I'll see you after the map, and let's hear Tony's prediction.
All right, for me, my prediction is going to be G3. I do think they're going to take this game home. They have, that experience in Miramar, and I just feel like to shine for the night. You know, they've shown throughout the season that they will remain consistent, and they are no pushovers. That they're back. G3 is back. So for me, yeah, those are my winners, Pachi.
All right, all right. I see your prediction there. Yeah, I mean G3 definitely big contenders on this map, and they have been looking pretty hungry so far today. And without any chickens, of course, they will not be satisfied. So maybe we will be seeing that G3 chicken here for map number 3. But it is just that, ladies and gentlemen. We jump into map number 3. It's Miramar. It's those long ranges. We've got a flight path from east to west, and we're ready to get this battle going. Hopefully we see some hot drops. Hopefully we see some early fights. Hopefully we see some kills going down straight off the bat. Having a look at those teams getting onto the map, it's looking like a pretty even spread. But what's not even is that zone dropping all the way down south, and nobody so far has gone down to the south very much. So there's going to be a lot of rotate, so I expect to see a little bit of gatekeeping happening pretty soon.
All right, so you do see the Sidemen and NK natural killers might be, I mean, they're not too close. Sometimes Miramar looks like they're close when you're looking, at it from this view. But don't forget, it's an 8x8 map. That's really big. So yeah, we'll be seeing, a couple of teams trying to make that rotation all the way towards that southwestern region. And so far, it's just, magicians who seem to love that, who seem to love their southwest. We saw them do this in, we saw them do this in Sanhok and Erangel, and they're doing it here again. Is it a pattern for them?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they've just decided that they don't like company, and they've just decided, you know what, we're gonna go as far away from everyone as possible. You know what? I feel that. I emphasize with that. I empathize with that feeling. The magicians have decided to go on a little bit of a trip. If they go down to that prison island in the south, I'll give them 1,000 patchy points right off the bat. And for the next team that decides to do a 360 flip in a vehicle off a cliff, they also get 1,000 patchy points. And that goes for any week. So whoever's the first to do it gets one of those. Or at least the first to do it on camera, should I say, gets those 1,000 patchy points. Because I'm interested to see some shenanigans on the screen. But for now, it looks like magicians will just be camping up, setting up the old Bry, and getting some lacquerwurst on that Bry, and they'll just be slowly turning it, waiting for all the rest of the teams to make their way across into that zone. There's a lot of teams that do need to do that. Of course, it is the first zone, so it is going to take quite a while before they do need to make that rotate, but it eventually does have to come through. I see a lot of teams up in towards the northeast of that zone, so maybe we'll be seeing a little bit of fighting happening there. I can see G3, I can see Sincerity, who are our previous chicken dinner winners from game number 2. And of course, here are the culprits, our magicians, who have decided to do what they call the disappearing act, and they've they waved their magic wand, and here they are all alone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did see these guys, just absolutely tear down lobbies in the Umzansi. I'll be hoping to see, Paradox Legacy and, Syntax just run riot right here, find their rhythm again. I do think one of the things that's affecting them so far, and this is just my point of view, but I do think that, they need to get, those squad wipes. They need to maybe, take out teams like, NK, take out teams like Sidemen, take out teams like G3, KHK, and just gain that confidence like, hey, we can fight against the best. We can fight against, anyone, in this lobby, and then go on towards taking those fights. Because we saw them in Nkansi, take on the guys like KHK week after week, and finally, wrestle that, top spot from KHK. And that's doing it against one of the best teams in the entire Africa. So if they could do that there, then they definitely, can do that, right here in the Umzansi. But something's just not clicking for them yet, when it comes to their confidence level. And they need to find that rhythm again. So it may just take one moment where, they just get that squad wipe to just change things entirely for them.
Yeah, maybe it is going to be exactly that, or perhaps we will get something else. Who knows? At this point, we're just going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to buckle up for the long ride because unfortunately, no one has decided to give us any of that super early action. We do see Sean trying to take a few kills with that Mini 14. He is tapping over the long distance, but oh, the M4 loses the battle as it does. That Mini 14 absolutely dangerous at this range. You can see Sean just tapping away at those HP bars. Unique trying to go and get some help in for the rest of that team. Some third parties coming in on towards Sean, but he is not perturbed. He is just continuing to put those shots and look at this man. He does not stop. He just keeps pulling the trigger, and Unique are going to lose two of their players. Keish can't do anything about it. He's on the wrong side of that rock, and now Keish and Sorry are the last two players left for Unique, and that was just straight off the bat. So a little bit unfortunate for them, but some nice early engagements.
Somebody buy Sean some beer because right now he's got his team 2 kill points, and that definitely does tell a lot. I mean, considering, if you have about 8 kills, that's enough in a particular game to get yourself, a lot of points right there. If you do, combine that with those 10 points. So that definitely is some good one. As you can see, EXO Redefined continuing the work right there as they do pop on shots right there onto the guys from BC. And I do believe it's just Pero just sitting down there. I'm not sure why he did make that move. But he did. He took out one player, but he's alone in this particular position. He does need the support of the rest of his teammates to come in right here and try to repel the attack coming on from BC. As you do see Ferreira and Yo-Yo pushing up into this building right there, looking to get that finish. And this is exactly the play, that we see from EXO Redefined that sometimes I don't really understand. I don't really get it, but it happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, just being separated like that is often not a really good defense where you get pushed up by like 4 players. Not the greatest position to be in. So, unfortunately, EXO are going to get caught out, completely separated from their members here. So, Pero going to get caught out alone, and the rest of the teams, I think, also kind of split up. British on the one side there, Sean on the other side for EXO Redefined there. You can see some shots going into Vibe in the meantime as EXO do get engaged in some of those fights. Dagger trying to make the rotate as quickly as he can. This is, of course, the team there from Black Clover who are under assault just a little bit. And then Black Crystal deciding to drive along. So we've got both of those BC teams going straight across the border. That blue zone has started to move in, and Dope has decided to capitalize on that position. He's just taking those players out. The res from Federal going to come through nice and quick, but they need to be careful because fighting in the blue zone for extended periods of time can be dangerous to your health. Dagger now going off the side of this mountain here with a flaming bust. That's exactly the kind of bust that we like, but Dope continuing those long-range shots is going to find Vibe. So that continual harassment, the long-range shots seem to be the call of the day.
Yeah, exactly. But just taking a look at the way Excel's been playing this right now, they're doing a lot of long range shots. They're still dealing a lot of damage onto the guys from BC as they've gotten another rock right there onto Vibe. But Federer is most likely going to be making that revive right there. And it's a really interesting one to see how they're playing this. I do feel like they probably should have gotten the support coming down onto their teammate quite early on, as it is just now left with Yo-Yo and Vibe. And if they were playing like this, getting closer to the teammates and playing together as a compact team, they might have been able to get the wipe onto the guys from BC quite early on. And this is exactly, the tiny little mistakes that may cost them that extra player. Or you do see Sean right here, who has been amazing with this one, now popping up shots onto Yo-Yo, got him down to 1 HP. And he's been amazing, with the Mini 14, so far.
Yeah, certainly has been. Now, of course, Yoko trying to get the the meds up and going as he's stuck out in the blue zone with the rest of the team. Doesn't manage to get himself back up to full HP. Sean going to get caught out with those shots from Yoko, but instantly claps back. Look at this man. Those pinpoint accurate shots from Sean with that Mini 14 are just absolutely deadly. He just claps back immediately as soon as somebody shoots at him, and he barely misses those shots. So Sean getting himself back up to full HP there. As of course the team here from Black Clover is under a bit of pressure. They have to worry about EXO Redefined, and they have to try and push past to get into safety. Here comes the shots from Yo-Yo, trying to make it happen with the M4. Sean just barely going to make the med in time, almost getting taken out by the blue zone, but he will survive. Yo-Yo bandaging himself back up as, well, Black Clover, they need to make that push. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck out in this blue zone forever. In the meantime, Infinity going up against Unique, going to take down one of their players straight off the bat there. So Keish going to go down to Kato as that thirst does come in. But Sean is up here to just make Black Clover's life a live in hell. G3, in the meantime, getting assaulted by Sincerity. Your previous chicken dinner winners going straight in and rolling through the team there from G3, taking quite a bit of damage there. Gunner, he has to make something happen up against this team from Sincerity. You have been doing so much damage to the team. Gunner prepping some nades there. But is it going to be quick enough? Is it going to be in time? It looks like Sincerity's out for blood. They want to get this battle going. Up comes Gunner looking for the shots. Can he land them, though? He does quite a bit of damage, but it's not just enough. Inky does go down. The rest of Sincerity is still here. Tomac, very low on HP. Rogue going to be dipping behind the fence to try and escape, but no, doesn't get caught out immediately. Can't turn around quick enough. That's going to be the problem now. G3, they've said, you can't mess with us like that. You can't disrespect us like that. We're going to come in. We're going to clap back, and that is exactly what they do. Tomac, of course, is going to go down in the meantime, but the clap back does come through very swiftly from the side of G3. However, Sincerity are not done just yet. They're not out just yet. They have been finding themselves going up against a very difficult opponent here. Gunner has a lot of work to do. Still 2 players up ahead of him. And of course, 1 Sincerity player on the flank could make all the difference. Rogue getting herself back up to full HP. Aimbot on the other side of the compound here. Maybe looking for a quick angle on towards Gunner. He is going for the flank. He might just run face to face as the team does come through. Of course, 6, he's going to get... run out of life here. He's going to bleed out and die. So Gunner is what looks like the last player here from G3. It looks like they have, they did get caught out on the rotate, maybe a little bit too overconfident here in this compound. Gunner now running around the side to see if there's maybe something that he can salvage out of this botched attack from G3.
Man, I do love the way Sincerity is playing so far. You know, G3 is one of those teams that I was anticipating was going to take this one home, you know, and seal this game right here. But it does look like the spoilers, you know, who were the winners of the last game, coming in with the confidence of getting that chicken dinner, you know, have taken on the guys from G3. And this is what we talked about. You know, a lot of these teams who are sitting all the way up on that bottom, you know, normally wouldn't dare to be facing guys like G3 early on in the map, you know, thinking that they'll get taken out. But all of a sudden, once you're getting yourself that winner with a chicken dinner, that whole belief just comes in and sets in, and you start thinking, hey, you know what? I can take on these guys. I've got nothing to lose. I've got myself a couple of points, and you can see right here, Sincerity taking out Team G3.
Yeah, that's a very early wipe. G3 not going to be picking up any points for the placements, and of course, it looks like they only got 1 kill potentially for that engagement. So yeah, very unfortunate end to G3. It looks like they're not going to be picking up the chicken that they were looking for here in Miramar. But in any case, KHK now under pressure as they get pushed straight up. It's Team Somalia pushing through, hungry for the victory here. Benji moving in, getting that nice thirst and turning his crosshair with the rest of Team Somalia in towards the team from KHK who are struggling around at the edge of that blue zone up ahead. In the meantime, Rainbow Six putting the shots in towards the Sidemen as the rotations go down. The zone has moved all the way to the south so that you can see that long stream of teams now moving down from the north into that safe area. They still have a little bit of space to play with, but it is very swiftly running out for these teams. They have to be careful not to run into one another too much. BBC streaming down from the north as well. Rainbow Six now taking that engagement with the Sidemen right up ahead. Can they push over and take this team up? Optimus is leading the charge up with the rest of the team, repping the nades. Here they come. Prime also now spearheading the attack alongside him. And they are just assaulting these guys with nades. It's just nade after nade after nade. These guys are absolutely just demolishing some of those players there. But the return fire does come through. The return nades coming in from Matrix are going to keep Rainbow Six at bay for now. But is it going to be enough? Purpose? Oh, he gets absolutely obliterated by another nade from Matrix, and that's the go signal for the Sidemen. Up they come, the Tommy gun absolutely tearing through the HPs, but Sleepy gets clapped back immediately as Optimus tries to do the damage control, and he does. He gets another kill to keep Rainbow Six in the mix, and can he get a third? He can! Instant elimination. Rainbow Six on the back foot, but still managed to win the fight, all thanks to Optimus winning out every single gunfight.
Oh my goodness, I don't understand what I just saw. I'm gonna come back to this, go back on stream and watch that, probably clip that, because that's one of my favorite moments in this game in Miramar right here. Optimus just, I mean, at some point in time I was just like, you know what, he's going down now, he's going down now. And you know, it's one of those things we see. It does look like we've seen a lot of squad wipes coming in Miramar this season.
Yeah, it certainly looks like we have, and it doesn't seem to be a trend that is going to stop anytime soon, but that's just the way I like it. I don't like the easy games. I don't like the slow games. I want to see those elims come through. I want to see those fights come through. Definitely, that is what we're getting. The zone shifting south again. This zone just really does not like these players at all, but up they come in any case. They're going to have to sort out their differences if they want to get that rotate going, because they've got a long way to go. And that zone is all the way down in the south. So, of course, you can see here Nova from the Natural Killers trying to keep pace with BBC, who have now decided to make that rotate around down the western side, along with just about every other team in the vicinity as well. You can see KHK, Infinity, Team Somalia even moving down in that particular direction. So that is a very hot spot right now. All the rest of the teams, of course, making their way in. Solo having preferential position inside that zone for the time being. Also going to be able to scope out that drop if they don't have it already. So they, of course, have that going for them at least. And now we're going to have a look and see if these 12 teams and 36 players are going to be able to play nicely with each other, because they are running out of space. And now they're running out of space even faster. And here comes Team Somalia up against KHK in the west. That is, of course, the battle happening as all the teams start to stream down inside to try and get their way across that line. Team Somalia is finding themselves facing up against Infinity, and Infinity are trying to move past KHK. So there's a lot of big names in the western group of this zone right now.
Man, it does feel like a lot of these teams, just listened to us and took their advice. But KHK coming up against the guys from Magicians right now, I do really feel for them, taking a couple of them out. The guys from KHK will now be looking to seal things out. It does look like it's just Legacy who's up for the Magicians. Man, it's a really tough one right here. I mean, these two teams do know each other. They faced each other right there in Umzansi throughout, so they know how they play. And it's all up to Legacy at the end of the day. We're gonna see another spotlight coming from him. Can he get those knocks? He's tried as much as possible using the car as his cover. He's able to take one down. Can he finally seal this up against Luis? Are we gonna see him take them down? He does! He does! Legacy does it for his team, and he's able to do what and takes down two guys from KHA, one of the best teams in the lobby. And this is what we were saying, this is what the Magicians need. They need those games like this where they come out of situations and now they can go on and begin to grab themselves some extra points.
Yeah, a much needed victory for the Magicians there in the western hemisphere of that zone. They pick up a good amount of kills for them, and if they have made it into top 10 teams so far, so a good start for Magicians here in map number 3. Hopefully they can continue on that momentum, but in any case, the fights are still continuing up here. BBC going at it with the rest of the teams. They're Solo trying to make it happen. Infinity also putting some shots in there as the blue zone is slowly closing its way on up, getting into that buggy to make sure that they are in with the rest of the team, which is a good decision. Now you cannot be separating all too much. Team Somalia up ahead, certainly not a team to trifle with at this point in time. Benji up on the flank as the rest of the team, Kingdom and a Beast up on the right-hand side, maybe just looking towards Infinity to potentially dismantle them a little bit in this position. The Magicians, of course, up ahead of them, and Solo just off to the eastern side of that position. BBC up ahead of them, trying to make some shots over across in towards Solo. The Natural Killers still occupying up in the north. They're quite happy to just sit there for the time being as that blue zone closes up. I'm interested to see where it goes. It doesn't go south again, so this time we have a western shift for the zone. The Natural Killers going to be nice and happy with that, as along with BBC, the Magicians, and Solo, who are all favored by that shift. The rest of the teams, EXO, Redefined, are going to have to move their way on in. British and Dope quite separated from one another at this point. The rest of the teams also going to have to make that rotate to get themselves inside. And now this is where the tough times begin for these 10 teams. They are 5 zones deep, moving in towards 6. And the zone is getting much, much smaller from here on out.
And yeah, exactly what you did say. You do have the guys from Infinity all the way right here with Magicians. Magicians now looking to get that central position, and this is the kind of gameplay that we know, from them coming all the way from the, Umzansi. Now they can begin to seal their foot right here in this lobby. This is the opportunity to seal it because G3 has been taken out all the way by Sincerity. and now they were able to take out the guys from KHK. So they're no pushover in this particular game. They got themselves about 2 kills. They got in a really, okay position right here in that zone as a central spot. They may be able to seal this one off, but they've got to get through the guys from Infinity, as you see Light and the rest of the teammates coming really close. They do get one knock right there onto Light. Can they begin to now seal things off against the rest of his teammates, Amo and Cole, and Legacy continuing to do the work that he has been doing so far for his team?
Yeah, they're going to have to keep things going here if the Magicians want to pick up any more points. We have been reduced down to 9 teams. Benji making the push up in towards Althea, and they will get that kill as well, just reducing player after player. But now Infinity on the back line are going to catch Benji out. Kingdom has to make something happen, but can they do it? Because, of course, coming in with that mini 14, tapping away at the rest of Infinity as Solo looking for some kills. They are very much in the center of the zone right now, so they have some priority. They've got some angles to utilize against the likes of Team Somalia and Infinity right up ahead of them. They have a good spot. Just got to keep it. The Magicians, of course, right next to them could present a little bit of a threat, so they have to be careful about that as well. 20 players alive at the moment. Now trying to squeeze themselves up into an ever-decreasing zone. And they're going to have to fight up these very rocky hillsides here. It's going to make it kind of difficult for luck. A very nice explosion on towards Dope British, going to get exploded by Lord, as well as BBC contend for the quarter of the zone up against the Natural Killers as well. They have to go in there and secure some space for themselves here. Rainbow Six right up at the bottom of your screen are just going to be moving around the rocky hillside, hoping that they don't get caught out just yet. Kingerman going to get taken down by Kato. There's some nice shots coming through from him, and as you can see, everyone is trying to position themselves accordingly inside the zone, but it's so rocky, it's so difficult. There's only a sliver of cover, but Solo have already occupied that particular compound, so it is a struggle for every single one of these other teams here.
Yeah, just like you said, it is a struggle for all those teams. You got BBC, you got Rainbow Six, you got NK, the Natural Killers. You also got Solo Esports, who's sitting down with a full team in those buildings right there. And the zones also, really pretty soon going to be making that shift in about a couple of seconds or so. You also got the guys of Infinity, who are a 2-man squad trying to make that rotate. They're going all the way towards the location where you do see the guys from Rainbow Six, but Rainbow Six also taking out another player right there. It does look like that was the last player from Team Somalia taking out Beast from that particular game, and we're down to 6 players. The guys from Magicians continuing the onslaught onto several different teams as they're popping up shots onto the guys from NK, and they're really looking strong so far.
Yeah, they certainly are here in game number 3. Hopefully they can push that a little bit further. I'd like to see them perform just a little bit more. Infinity now rolling up here. The Magicians putting the shots in towards Team Solo, who have been doing really, really well so far in this game. Now under a little bit of pressure as the zone shifts up in towards the north and forces those rotates to come out from the rest of the teams. The Magicians coming up there on a little bit of momentum off of getting some nice wins off of the previous zones. Now trying to get another one here up against some teams in the distance. We'll see if they can make it happen. Solo still occupying this compound. They are going to have to move just a little bit up. Infinity also need to make that rotate, but Suntox looking for those long-range shots in towards the Natural Killers, looking to capitalize on a little bit of that angle that he's got going for himself. Isn't able to find the damage he was looking for, has to get the rotate. Optimus prepping a nade up towards BBC, loving it off. Was that accurate? Almost looks like it could have been, but he isn't finding the damage onto BBC just yet. We have some pretty good numbers. BBC still 4 players strong for them. That's a really strong number to be bringing into zone number 6 towards number 7. So they could potentially utilize that and maybe pick up a chicken here. In any case, Optimus moving up with that Tommy, seeing if he can potentially find a couple of more bits of damage in towards the team there from BBC. Juicy does get taken down as he makes the push. The Natural Killer's not finding success, but it's an assault on 2 fronts as Optimus coming on the back line, catching BBC out, and that is just not what they wanted at all. They were fighting 2 teams back to back, and they just couldn't make it happen. Lord now left alone, it seems like, under so much pressure. But here comes Yujiro, putting the shots in towards the Magicians, who are looking for a little bit more success. Now they have to fight Yujiro, who's just chilling in this window right now, utilizing this angle that he's got going for himself to really just shred through the HPs of all the teams in the area. Lord now trying to creep up on Rainbow Six. Optimus, of course, getting a Mo. Kato getting taken down by Prime. Prime and Optimus, of course, now slowly encroaching in towards Lord. And actually, it looks like there's one more player for BBC. It's for luck. The plan there could potentially bring a little bit of hope into the likes of BBC right now. It's 5 teams, 12 players remaining as that zone has shifted slightly towards the south of its original position. And these teams are going to have to fight once again.
Man, I'm just taking a look at the guys from Magicians. These are the teams we've been talking about throughout the entire season that they do need to perform. And I did speak about them getting one particular squad wipe, and that may just open things up. I do feel like that's the situation for them. But just taking a look at Rainbow Six, they've gotten themselves up at 11 kills so far. They do look like they're on fire. They're two-man squad, but you can see the damage that they did up onto the guys from BBC who were sitting as a full squad, until they collided, and they did just reduce their numbers right there and do a lot of damage to them. But let's see how this game does progress. As you do have the guys from MGC, there's a lot of teams really focusing on them. They got the guys from NK who they do need to be really careful about. Nova and Juicy just sitting down quiet right there. But the guys 6 who have been blowing things out as a two-man squad, now turning the sights onto the guys from Solo Esports who are sitting quite comfortably in those buildings right there. But still, the guys from Rainbow Six are just doing the damage. But Yujiro just seeking Optimus, laying him down on the floor. But with that gun right there, you can see Prime just doing the damage and doing the work right there. Is he going to be pushing up onto that position right there? But Yujiro using the wall to his advantage and taking him out of the game. GG's to the guys from Rainbow Six. We're now down to 3 teams.
Oh yeah, 3 teams remaining. It's the Magicians, it's BBC, and it's Team Solo up in the compound right up ahead of them. These teams could do anything. It could go either way. All of these teams have put in the work in map number 3 to get where they are, and they could certainly take it all the way to a chicken. But who's it going to be right now? Magicians have 3 players going for them, as well as Team Solo have 3 players going for them. In BBC, only down to 2 players. So it could still swing either way. BBC have proven themselves very capable players, but the Magicians and Team Solo have likewise been proving the same. The Magicians trying to find a little bit of their former glory earlier on in the season, now trying to rise out of those ashes and make another name for themselves. For luck, taking quite a bit of damage, but Ash pops up to put the shots in towards Samurai. The rest of the Solo players now rotating around for a bit of a flank, and they might just catch the Magicians out. The Magicians' attention is entirely being kept by Samurai up in that compound. So maybe a split could potentially catch them out. Lord and might just be able to capitalize on that positioning. Samurai continuing to try and lay down the fire from this window, as he's been doing for a while now. Putting the shots in towards Ash, but not going to find the explosion damage he was waiting for. The rest of Solo still haven't managed to get around across Beyond, and Yujiro just off to the side, but they haven't started the flanking procedure just yet. Lord down here, very separated from Faluk, who's actually just trying to push up towards that compound and see what he can find. Lord is just waiting patiently to see if any of those Magicians players are going to push over that horizon, just push over that hill line. He is waiting for it. You can see he's just waiting for something to happen. All 3 of these teams, they know if they make a mistake right now, it could mean that chicken falling from their grip. That's exactly not what they want. For luck, taking a little bit of a fight against Samurai, who did have to push forward from the house. Now he's has to push all the way up, but he hasn't found For luck just yet, trying to put the damage in, but For luck is dipping and weaving, and he does find Samurai. Down he goes. The thirst comes through immediately, but this gives the trigger for the Magicians to try and push up. Bjorn is going to catch them out on the rotate, though. It's a 3-way battle right now. Everyone's battling each other. Lord taking the fire in towards the Magicians. Can they find the damage necessary? Lord doesn't go down just yet, and he's finding every single shot right now. He's still alive. The Magicians have fallen one by one to Lord's bullets, and indeed, they will be able to find the shots that they were looking for. BBC will find the chicken dinner, and they will find a good number of kills in their pocket as well.
GG to the guys from BBC taking out one home. I was really rooting for the Magicians, but it's definitely some good placement points for them as they do take on that second place with about 4 kills right there. They could have gotten more, but the guys from BBC just decided to just come in, run riots right here, and take this game through. GG's to them holding it back, because at some point in time, it did look like the guys from Rainbow Six was going to do a lot of damage into them, but they kept their ground and they did seal that game off.
Yeah,
That
very, very well
is
played.
looking fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. BBC taking the winner chicken dinner. Magic's up there as well. Also great to see Solo Esports in the top 3. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I call serious table shaking. Nobody's holding the top spot like it's their own or their birthright. The idea that any team can come through and get the winner chicken dinner and get those points to push themselves off the leaderboard literally blows my mind. And like that's what specifically excites me about the Umzansi Esports League. Like I said, this is season 4. We are waiting on the standings of game 6, and then we're going to look at the overall standings, and then of course the MVP. But are you expecting sorry, Pachi, are you expecting some heavy movement on the leaderboard?
I'm expecting some decent movements on the bottom of the leaderboard. The top, not so much. I mean, we did see some good points being brought out by some of the more consistent teams, but ultimately, I'm not really expecting anything too huge. So let's just go over the results here from game number 6. We do see BBC, of course, taking position number 1 after that chicken dinner, plus the 9 kills in the pocket. Rainbow Six actually going to boost themselves all the way up to position number 2 with the amount of kills that they did bring forth. So very well played from them. The Magicians, of course, and Solar Esports in 3 and 4 getting a good number of points to their name, and that's probably going to help them just a little bit, the Magicians especially, who do need as many points as they can get. For the rest of the teams, though, not going to be too much shifting. They are already, for the most part, in a safe spot. Sincerity, of course, with that very nice chicken that they got a bit earlier, are going to feel okay. They did boost themselves up quite a considerable amount off the back of that, which we will be able to see once we see those overall standings. But of course, for the rest of Game 6, not too many big differences here for the likes of KHK and G3. Of course, they're not really finding those points that they were looking for. But once again, they don't really need them. So it's not a huge problem. The biggest problem is going to be for EXO Redefined, who are trying desperately and unfortunately just not successful in their attempts to try and get out of that relegation zone at the moment, which we will be seeing very, very shortly. So just to reiterate, overall standings probably not going to be changing all too much on the top of those leaderboards. With the likes of G3 and KHK, they've been doing the work. They put the work in earlier on in the season to be where they are. And of course, the MVP for that match has to come out of Rainbow Six for just dealing out the kills and boosting themselves up that leaderboard. They're Optimus with the MVP, 8 kills and 1,277 points of damage, which is certainly not too shabby.
Definitely not shabby at all. And we are waiting to see the updated overall leaderboard, which is going to blow our minds. Tony, tell me what you see. Any movement, any non movement? Like Patchy said, doesn't look like there's much movement in the top of the leaderboard, apart from KHK moving up and Slime 4KT moving down just a little bit. But Akfire, tell us about the leaderboard and what you're seeing.
I mean, definitely G3 just holding their position, just remaining on top right there. You got the guys from KHK who have moved, closer, just evening that gap between them and G3 Temp. And I do think G3's got to be careful with these guys because they do know how to stay consistent. They do know how to keep grinding out those points. Relay Insider, another team that has been doing well so far and just grabbing those points. So teams like Slime 4KT, who are our previous champions and always know how to grind that win in the final stages, have got to watch out for these guys. But Team Somalia, Solo Esports, Sidemen, all these guys who are just coming up all the way into Umzansi are still, just pulling their weight. They're just showing that they're not here to play. They're not here to joke. They're here to stamp their foot all the way up on Doom Zanzi, that's exactly what they're doing. You also still have teams like the Infinity, Aphelion Apex, who are still vying for that top spot. You also have Aatrox who's gotten themselves all the way out of that, relegation spot onto the second page. So that's a really interesting one. I did see, beginning of the season, a lot of people were saying, what, does Aatrox deserve to be here? Do they deserve to be in the Mzanzi? Are they playing as well as, to be, a top team right here in the Zanzibar? But they've proved that not only are they, in the second page, they've gotten themselves 2 winner chicken dinners. So all they do really need right now is just to be a lot more consistent.
Consistency is something that we definitely need in the Umzansi Esports League. As we move down to the third page, which is the last zone for safety, Patchy, what's going on with the teams in this area and who needs to do what to be in contention for staying up in the next round?
Yeah, of course. It's this is really the part where things start to attenuate off towards the end. Good to see the Magicians up here in position number 18. So they're still okay for the time being. Sincerity in 19. So once again they're okay, having gotten some good points to really boost themselves out. They're not completely out of the heat just yet, but certainly doing a lot better than, for instance, teams like Black Clover, Rain from Hell, and Team Unique, who are all very, very dangerously close to that relegation. You can see 67 for Black Clover and Rain from Hell, each. So they are very, very close. And you can see EXO Redefined, they are sitting on 63 points. Like I said, they are struggling so much to try and get out. They have moved themselves up from, I think it was position 30, all the way up to 25 to try and get out of this relegation, but it hasn't been enough. They are still sitting in 25, and that is not enough to get out just yet. As you can see on that previous page, those teams were sitting on like 60, 67, and just a bit lower. So EXO Redefined has a little bit of work to do before they can get out of this spot. And I mean, if you look at Immortals, Fear, and Comfy 6, a good game could potentially move them up. But right now, these teams need an absolute banger of a match to try and get themselves out of this frying pan, because nothing more is going to help. They need to drop like a 30 bomb at least to really change their status right now, because these small amounts of kills here and there, these small amounts of points every game, it's just not enough to going to get them out. So of course we're going to turn our attention to those kill leaders who have just been dropping absolute mad bombs. You can see G3 sporting two of those players. It's going to be Buden and Gunner for them. 29 kills for Buden, 26 for Gunner, 5,500 points of damage for Buden, and 6,247 for Gunner. So absolute nuts performances coming out of them. Of course, Zeke and 4KT Fax is still going to be keeping their positions up there on those MVP with 32 and 31 kills respectively, which is absolutely insane. You can see these guys are not messing around. They are absolutely swinging these bats, no problem. And those kills are just dropping left, right, and center.
Yes, you can see the big boys doing the big things, collecting all the chicken, putting inside a bucket to make it look like a nice chicken bucket and a bucket of chicken. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an amazing night, amazing evening with some amazing gameplay and super, super exciting action. Myself, Dr. Sid, I want to say big thank you to Actfire and Patchy for giving us all the action that is the Umzansi Esports League Season 4. We will be back next week, Friday, with some more action that you do not want to miss. As you can see, it is hotting up as we move closer to the next action. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week. My name is Dr. Sid. This is the Umzansi Esports League Season 4, brought to you by Northern Gaming, and we are signing out.